Have you ever noticed that as soon as you go on holiday, it really hits you just how tired you are? We have so many things going on in our lives that we end up constantly deferring our right to relax. And when we do finally get to slow down, we realise that we've forgotten how to. We've spent the last 4 or 5 weeks in different parts of France, some of that on holiday and some of it working at May's parents' place. But even with such a complete change of scenery, it's not been easy to bring myself down to a complete state of rest. So often within the slow or intentional living community, we get this impression that we have to completely remove ourselves from technology or busy places in order to feel some sense of zen or inner peace. And especially for those of us who do some kind of knowledge work, it can be incredibly difficult to switch yourself off from your job halfway across the world. This really got me thinking about a concept that I learned from feminism, which is the mental load. In the case of a woman cohabiting with a man, the mental load would be the expectation that they had to do everything around the house and having to think about things like the laundry or the cooking all the time, which is a stress that they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Whereas just because of the way that a lot of men are raised, they wouldn't be thinking about doing any of that and they'd be able to concentrate on other things like work. But long story short, the mental load can weigh really heavily on anyone's shoulders. And for people who do jobs that are primarily based on email or online applications, they can never really switch off and you can be constantly thinking about your work long into your holiday. That mental load can be really, really difficult to shift. And that's why it probably is a good idea to switch off all notifications, delete Gmail from your phone, do not engage with people from work at all unless you really have to. It's not always that easy to completely set technology aside and wander off into the wilderness and become a better person. I actually think the best thing you can do is to just put aside all feelings of guilt that you're taking time off, that you're not keeping up with all of your responsibilities at work or back home, and just allow yourself that chance to recuperate. And I actually think one of the most important things to do is just find something that you can really immerse yourself in that can either help you see a different perspective or just shift your mindset really quickly. It's really interesting when you're looking through a camera lens and you do see the world with a slightly different perspective, and it gets you into a bit of a more artistic mindset. Maybe you feel a little bit more concentrated on the world around you. And I feel like taking those pictures for that reason, not just as something to share on Instagram or whatever, actually for the art of taking a photograph, it can be an incredibly sort of cleansing activity. And that's really helped me over the past couple of weeks to just completely connect with the world around me. One of the things that I definitely don't do enough is read fiction as well. I've kind of got into the habit of reading a lot of self-help books, reading a lot of non-fiction, kind of weighty books about history and things like that, but they don't really allow you to engage with a completely new perspective all of the time. One of the amazing things about fiction is that you can actually live in a fantasy world. You can live some crazy story that you would never be able to experience in real life. And just putting yourself in that mindset gives you so much distance from reality that you actually do escape those troubles just by reading a book, especially one that's first-person narrative. I've never really been one for beach holidays because I grew up next to a beach. There really is something about water that is just so soothing. One of the things that I did when I was on the beach was the moment that I started thinking about work or something that was a stressor, I just went and jumped into the sea. And that kind of cold shock to your body that just changes your entire mood, gets you thinking about something else. And if you're me, I can't really swim that well, so I have to really concentrate on the waves to make sure I don't drown. It takes you away from this stress of the day-to-day. And I think just anything that you can do to shift your mindset in one way or another. You don't have to get into meditation, you don't have to get into breathing exercises and all that kind of stuff. You don't even have to get into the countryside. But if you can do something that will change your mindset from one instant to the next, or ideally for a longer period, that's how you slow down. You keep doing that one day after the next, and eventually you do reach some kind of peace. But the main thing to remember is that if you are getting stressed and struggling to slow down, the worst thing that you can do is rally against it. It's not really that easy in this world that we have today. After 2.5 weeks, I feel like I need to get back into the swing of making these videos, so that may have been a massive ramble today. If you did like this one, then please drop me a like down below and let me know if you've got any good techniques for slowing down. Also, the absolute size of this plant. All right, see you later.